and today I'm going to be talking about episode 7 of Shadowhunters. I really liked this episode. Lots more book content was in this episode, and I've officially been able to distinguish the difference. So I know now there is the show and the books, and they are different things. They just have some similar content, and I've definitely been able to finally officially make that distinction in my head. So it's nice when I'm watching the show and I'm just enjoying the show for the show, and then occasional book content crops up. It's rare, but it is there, and when it's there and I'm like, oh my god, it's like the book from the book, it's really good, and I like it, and I feel as though this episode had quite a lot of that. It's definitely one of my favourite episodes from season 2. I really liked it. I thought that the characters worked really well, the show worked really well, and it just was really good. A well-rounded episode that linked to the previous episode, that made sense and that really worked, and I really liked it. I think I would give this episode 8 out of 10. It was weird at first and things kind of took me off guard, and it took me a while to realise what things were, but I did enjoy the episode. If you have not watched episode 7 of Shadowhunters, then I don't want to spoil you, so if you haven't seen it yet or you don't want to be spoiled, then don't stick around, go and watch it and then come back. But if you have, let's discuss. So obviously the last episode ended on cliffhanger. Sister Cleophas killed the other Iron Sister and then activated her circle rune and went back to see Valentine. And that scene felt like, and I'm sorry to bring up Harry Potter, but it felt like the scene in Goblet of Fire where Voldemort comes back and he's talking to the Death Eaters and he's like, Lucius, not even you came, and he's like, if I'd known there were signs, then I'd have come back to you, my lord. And he's like, look, you knew, like, there were signs, and you didn't come back. And that's what that scene felt like between Valentine and Sister Cleophas. Like, she was like, I didn't know, I had to protect myself. And he's like, no, seriously, you knew. Like, you knew I was back. Like, don't bullshit. Like, please just don't. It's really made me laugh because I could see the parallels between that scene, and it was just really weird. This is Harry Potter on the brain all the time. Yeah, so she was basically like going back and grovelling and trying to get Valentine to forgive her and trying to get back into his good books and show that she can help, so she gives the information about Clary, and basically like sells Clary completely out, and then decides that later on she's going to go and apologise to Clary and try and stop Valentine, and she really needs to make her mind up which side she's on. And then Valentine, like, he finds out that Clary can create these runes. She shot sunlight out of her hand, and he goes to see this old man. He says to this man, leave my daughter alone. And I'm like, who is this person? What's going on? And it took me an embarrassingly long time to realise that was ethereal. Like, I have read these books more than once, and I didn't realise until they're dragging him down the corridor. Then we see that Clary can hear it, and Cleophas is like, that's an angel. He is not how I pictured Ethereal in the books at all. Like, I pictured him a lot younger. I pictured him almost kind of like a Jace, but with wings and a lot more angelic. I don't know why, but he was completely different to how I pictured him in the book. Also, I noticed that Valentine didn't really seem that bothered about Jocelyn dying. I feel as though he would have done. He did love Jocelyn in his own way, and I feel as though he'd be a lot more bothered about the fact that she had been killed than he was kind of letting on. It was just sort of something that he kind of like brushed aside and didn't really think about and didn't really react on. Obviously, Clary decides to then run off with Sister Cleophas later on in the episode, and she's telling Luke that they should trust her, and she tases Luke, and they run off and they're going to go to Valentine. And I liked that Jace was kind of being all like, Jace, like, ladies man in this, and then as soon as he realised it was Clary that was in danger, he just ran straight for her. And I really liked it, and it shows that he hasn't become completely kind of, you know, he still cares about her, and he's not completely ignoring her, and he still wants to make sure that she's okay. And then Luke and Valentine, I don't know how I felt about Luke having a gun. I know that he's like a police officer in this and he's gonna have a gun, but it was really weird to have a gun when they fight with blades and he's a wolf and Valentine has like runes and seraph blades and stuff. I don't know why, it just looked really out of place. And he called him Parabatai, and he was like, don't call me that. And like, I really liked that we got that little bit of extra like story. It sort of flipped back to their past. We knew it, but it was just a reminder of what they used to be with each other and like everything that had happened, and how Valentine found about him being the werewolf and the whole Jocelyn situation. It was bringing back information that we'd learned about previously, but it doesn't come up in every episode. And I like the fact that they are still using older information to make the story relevant and to continue building upon in future episodes. I thought that was really good. Also, a massive part of this episode was Alec and Magnus, and they are going to different places. They go to Japan and Prague, I think they were the places that they said, and I really liked the fact that it just jumped straight into them coming back from a date. It felt really casual. Their relationship has a foundation now. It has this like mutual understanding of where they are and how they feel about each other and what they want to do with this and where they want this relationship to go. And it just felt so much more casual, and it just started and we immediately jumped straight into it. There wasn't any awkwardness. Alec buys him a present and Magnus is like really taken aback. I love the scene when he's in the bar with Maya and he's holding it and he's saying it's from someone, and I can't remember the last time someone bought me a present. Everyone always wants things from me but doesn't want to give me anything, and she's like, was it from someone special? And he's like, I think so. And you can see that they're really starting to kind of fall for each other and really starting to like each other, and I loved it. It just felt so much more casual in this, just like a relationship, like no Shadowhunter and Downworld or like politics involved. It was just two people that really care about each other, and that really came across in this episode, and I'm really excited to see where their relationship goes from this point onwards. I really love Magnus and Maya. I love the little friendship that they got going on. They really seem to kind of understand each other and get each other, and I really like it. We had the Simon and Maya situation. Simon's getting ready and Clary walks in and we see him getting ready and she's like, oh wow, okay, you can kind of see that she's maybe starting to have feelings for Simon. But it still felt like them, like once they started talking, they had that kind of like back and forth conversation when he's like, is that okay? She's like, no, I'm your only friend, you're not allowed to hang out with anyone else. And like, it just felt like Clary and Simon, but it also had that subtle shift in the relationship, and you could see that maybe Clary is starting to feel more things for him. Kat and Alberta did that scene really well, and that really did come across. I'm interested to see what happens next, because obviously we had the Simon and Maya thing, and Simon was really nervous on the date and he shows up really early, and that was really funny. And then there's the whole thing with Jace, and just Jace was completely ripping it out of Simon, just taking the mick out of everything he does, trying to improve everything when there's nothing wrong, but it just felt so much like Jace. Jace actually really felt like Jace in this episode, being kind of the ladies' man and what he was like when he was in bed with the Fae. The whole scene with Simon, and he just felt really like Jace, and I really loved that. It felt like I was watching Book Jace, and it's the first time I've ever felt like I was definitely 100% watching Book Jace, and I really it was just so good. But yeah, Simon and Maya, obviously when Simon goes to apologise, Simon was saying about him and Clary, and she realises that nothing else is going to come from Simon and Maya, I don't think, but I am interested to see where it's going to go with him and Clary. We also had Simon and Izzy that interacted for a little bit, and that was weird because she was like, long time no see, and they haven't interacted for a couple of episodes, so it was weird to see them on screen together again because it's been a while. But obviously I'm wondering if that's going to develop into something. I don't know if it was one of the writers or the directors said that it's going to be a slow burn, but it's going to be something, so I'm imagining there'll probably be like something with Simon and Clary and then something with Simon and Izzy afterwards, so I'm intrigued to see that. There was also the scene with Simon and Izzy where Izzy says, you know what's good for nerves? Shadowhunter blood, because now she's found out that the yin fen is made from vampire venom, because obviously in the books it's not, but in the show it is. She's desperate for it. She's going straight to the source. You can see it on her. She looks different, looks so less put together. You know, she constantly looks like she's sweating, she's shaking, she's having these tremors. Even Alec realised that something was a bit up when he was talking to her about him and Magnus. When they were in the den and she was going straight to the drug dealer to see if she could get some, and Magnus stepped in, he tells her sort of go to the vamps. And I hope that he either has realised then and is going to raise the issue with Alec, or he does realise eventually that something's wrong and it's not this thing from Elder Tree that she's doing it for, and there's actually other reasons why she wants the yin fen. I think that Emma was playing that really well. You can definitely see it on her, like every time we see Izzy she looks worse, and you can see that she's really struggling. Magnus mentions Jem. He says that yin fen almost cost his friend Jem his life, and I'm like, was there almost a hint that it maybe didn't? I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know why they mentioned it so blasé, if like he's going to play a part, if Izzy's going to meet him, I don't know, but I'm wondering how that is going to play a part. Like I am genuinely curious to see if Tessa and Jem and everyone are going to actually play a part in this show. And also, like I said in a couple of episodes ago, Brother Jeremiah has now died, and Brother Zachariah in the books is the one that takes over, so if that's the same in the show, then possibly I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen there. I'm wondering why Magnus mentioned Jem. And then the end of the episode was Clary and James absolutely kicking ass together. That was just really good. It just really felt like them. They've stopped doing that weird slow-mo-y thing, and it just makes the fighting scenes look so much better and so much more real, and they're so much more enjoyable. And then we see Ethereal's wings, and we have that kind of weird vision thing that he shows Clary and James. And the wings, I feel as though like they could have been done a lot better. I know that like they're not on a movie style budget, but those wings, they could have been a bit better. But he kind of flew off. They realised that he was an angel, and then it ended, and there was a cliffhanger, and I'm really hoping that it's not, because that ending was kind of like, oh okay, angel. I'm hoping that that's not something that's just forgotten about, because it would be a really random ending if it was. I hope that that's something that is explored and continued and something that's spoken about in future episodes. But yeah, I did like this episode. Definitely think they're getting better. The actors really understand their characters now. They really fit in with them. Like I said, Jace felt so much like Jace this episode. He was just like book Jace. I'm intrigued to see more. I'm interested to see how it's going to be explored for the rest of the season. There's so much book information that's happening really quickly, so I'm intrigued to see like where they're going and where they're going to take it all. I'd love to know your thoughts of Shadowhunters episode 7 down below, and if you're new here, I make bookish videos a couple of times a week, so if you would like to stick around and join us, then you can do that. And as usual, all my links will be in the description below if you would like to come hang out with me on other social medias. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're doing really well, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.